So I guess the topic for today is going to be Christian terrorist. And I don't know, if you don't follow Right Wing Watch, you may not know who this freaking fool is. And I've never heard of him before, but then I went and searched on YouTube and I see other people have talked about this guy for the past couple years. This guy is fucking crazy. His name is Kevin Swanson. He's absolutely hilarious to me. I mean, I was laughing and laughing so much tonight that I'm freaking sick to my stomach. And then once that passes, you realize he's serious. And, there's people in this world that would take him seriously. I think that most people that are rational and have a fairly average IQ can listen to this and go, okay, he's just a little over the top. I may agree with, I'm against, the homosexuality thing and all that stuff, but the talking of death, like, okay, I'm going to play this and you hear how he goes off.
Leviticus 20:13 calls for the death penalty for homosexuals. Yes. Romans chapter 1 verse 32, the Apostle Paul does say that homosexuals are worthy of death. His words, not mine.
So, he's basically trying to put his hate and trying to stand behind a book. And it's kind of funny because I grew up choosing to be Christian. Like, nobody pushed me into it, and I was kind of a weird kid. I was just, I don't know, I was out of curiosity, and my church wasn't anything like this. My pastor wasn't a freaking fundamental, like, anything like this. I went to the Lutheran church, and our friend's family, they had a gay member and they had a boyfriend, and I know that they had gone into our church a couple times. It may have been during Easter or Christmas time or whatever. I don't ever recall them ever even talking about anything about gays, and it could be that they did and I didn't pay attention. I don't remember any time that they've ever mentioned that. And then our family member, my great aunt, she was a lesbian. And so I know that she was giving tons and tons of money to the 700 Club. And then she ended up dying of cancer. And so apparently, from what I was told, that she gave a lot of her money after she died or something to them, which, my family was really pissed off about that whole thing. So this is what I remember from the information that they told me from a long time ago. And it is pretty disgusting. It's just, like, I think back of, like, what was she thinking? Like, did she think she was bad? Or, I don't know. It's really depressing to me. But, moving on with that, this guy is insane. And I was searching some stuff on him the other night, and I guess he's like really big on homeschooling. Like, I don't have a problem with homeschooling, but I do have a problem with these religious cult home family things that are going on. And so it sounds like this guy has that going, and he sounds like he's been secluded away from the world for a really long time, and he's just over the top. You can't take this seriously. But I know somewhere, somehow, there's this group of people that listen to him and think he's probably like the smartest thing on earth, and everything he says is, totally of the, Bible and stuff, and that it says this stuff. Um, it's really depressing. He reminds me of Mark Metcalf, which, like, I don't know if, I think I'm too old or something. Like, I mentioned this guy on there, and I think people are like, who, what are you talking about? back in the 80s, um, these little fundamentals were going like really crazy over, well, at that time it was like rock. So they were really big on trying to do censorship and all sorts of things. And it just reminds me so much of that era of this like hardcore conservative religious stuff that was going on, and everybody trying to break out of that sort of mold of things. And it's sort of like that has returned like tenfold, like worse. Because now you got people like him going, and I will go to jail. Like it's getting a little more dangerous than I recall from those days. I don't know. It's just my opinion about it. And back then, I was actually Christian, and even then, I thought these people were nuts. So, these types anyway, and they're like coming out in droves now. Like they came out from the middle of Arkansas or something. I don't know. This guy, I don't know where he lives. I forgot because I was reading about it the other night, and he's just crazy, dude. This guy is just crazy. Ted Cruz is absolutely nuts. I mean, his story is really weird. I don't understand his relationship with his dad. Apparently, he said that his dad abandoned him, and it's like, when the hell did he come back, and why? I don't know. Their whole story is really weird. It's like you almost think like something else happened between those two that you don't really want to know. They're both very like anti human anybody other than them, and he's got some serious problems. But I think his dad is worse than him. He's just more annoying, but his dad is just dangerous. He's just really dangerous. So you got people like Pat Robertson here going, you know gays used to be killed. That's nice. Why don't you just remind everybody that, old white people used to kill freaking blacks, and they killed women. They killed lots of women. Our country is really gross. Mostly on anything that's not white, crusty old man. That's conservative Christian. So, I mean, leave it to them to keep rubbing it in. Hey, we used to do this. Like, we should do it again. Like, those were the best of times. And it's like, I don't know.
A porn addiction to at least weekly or monthly involvement in pornography. An addiction that my friends constitute such a porneia that, as I see it, they are not qualified to even marry. America's steeped in a destructive homosexuality. And friends, they're bound for hell!
Oh my god. This is um that is from being secluded far away from humanity for a really long time. Um um Because what he just said there, let me sit back down. Um, what he said there was talking about 80% of people, or like they watch porn or something, and they're not even fit for marriage, and they're bound for hell. That's what he was saying, and so this guy. God, if you were married to this guy, he must be like the boringest guy in bed. I don't know what else to say. I cannot take this guy seriously. And I know people are like really scared of him too. And I mean, you should be in a way, but I don't think that the majority of people really sit here and listen to this. They might sit there and go, yes, yes, I agree. But I don't think they walk out into life going, I gotta murder these gays, or I don't know. It's really weird. There's a percentage that do, and then there's a percentage that they listen to the stuff and they go home and they're just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I sinned, whatever the church is telling them. So it's really hard to get a grasp of how many hardcore literalists are out there. I mean, you see these guys. I know they don't represent the majority, but they do represent enough people that is making people's life a living nightmare. And I just say, let them keep acting stupid. So you have something to laugh at because people are not going to take this seriously. Mostly the younger generation seeing this stuff. I mean, this is pretty much the same type of thing that happened when I was growing up, and these people were coming out. You had the 700 Club, TBN, or whatever it was, and all that stuff going on where everybody made fun of it. And then I'd sit there and kind of watch it, and then I don't know. I had such a weird thinking about stuff. Like I think I just pretty much didn't really listen to half the stuff they were saying, and I just kind of did my thing. And then I had my Lutheran church, and I was doing studies there, and my stuff was really really different from all my other friends because I had another friend that was in Assembly of God, and that place was extremely crazy. Like that's a place like this Kevin Swanson guy would totally love because they would constantly pick things out like, oh, this on TV is totally evil and it's really the devil in there. And they were the ones passing out that information about crest is of the devil, and they have the mark of the beast on their soap and weird shit like that. And they sat us down and watched a video of, oh, what was it? My friend had us go to their church that one day, and they brought a video out, and they had us all of us, and I think we were all teens at the time, and they had us watch this video with all these musicians, and there was like tons of like all the pop songs that were going on at the time, and particularly metal that they were trying to target, and they were saying like, this is evil, this is of the devil, and this and that and this and that. And so they showed Dio on there. And if anybody knows my other channel, they know I'm like a big fan. Well, I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of his. And I became a big fan of his because of Assembly of God, which is just the most funniest, the irony, just everything about it is funny because I was watching it going, oh, he's evil. I'm gonna go get his cassette, way back when. And so I started listening to him, and I was just like, oh my god, this guy is great. I love his voice, like, and nobody sings like him. And so basically, we can thank Assembly of God for me becoming a fan of Dio. I think it's kind of funny. They also did that with, like, they showed King Diamond, I think. They probably showed Iron Maiden. They showed a whole bunch of people, and they had it all, uh, like, really dramatic, this dramatic sort of documented type of video with these people in it. And I think they even had Striper in there, which, if anybody knows, they were like this total Christian rock band, and so they were even tackling on them. And so it's funny because years later I ended up, meeting all them, and meeting Ronnie and from Dio, and all this stuff happened. So yeah, this guy would be one of those types that would go to something like that. And that's the same church I think that Sarah Palin was involved with. They're crazy. They're crazy as hell. And, you know, there's so many different types of religious people. Like, I think the majority really just don't know. And these type of guys are the ones that you just hear the most because they're so fucking crazy. They're so fucking crazy. Like, I'm sitting here watching them and I'm just laughing. Like, I mean, to me, it's like a show. And it's just like, sometimes it's hard for me to go, are they doing this just for money? Because, I mean, that's probably about the easiest way that you can rake in. The more crazy you are, like, the more money you're going to get in church. or that this guy's just really crazy. I think this guy's just straight up crazy. I think he really is like that, and he's just been secluded from the world. And then there's others that I know you're scamming. Pat Robertson is a piece of shit. Everybody knows that. I can't even believe people still watch that guy. And I think most people are watching him just to make fun of him. So, I mean, I think that's for the most part, most of these people. Um, I get entertainment out of that. It might not be the best entertainment, but I do find it funny. And then it just makes me think like I can't even blame myself because I was so young and I grew out of it and I always had questions and I studied philosophy and I thought a lot and I'm like, just things are not ringing right. And so I went out and I searched for a lot of different answers. So that's when I started kind of studying different churches. Like I thought, okay, I'm going to go check out different churches. Maybe it's my church. And then I went around to different ones and I'm like, okay, these guys have this going. This isn't working. This is more freaky. This is more scary. And then I pulled away from that and ventured out into some other different stuff. I mean, everybody's hypocritical. All of these people are hypocritical. The Bible is just so contradictory to one part to the next. You can read one thing and then it says this. You can interpret it as this. You can interpret it any which way. And that really is the problem. So, because of that, people's crazy thinking, they go off one way. And, certainly I've met some really good Christians where, they're not like this. So I hate to always just take them all into, a singular thing and say, they're all bad. Because actually it's not true. They're not all bad. But I'd say these types of people that we're talking about, Kevin, Swanson, and Pat, and these other fundies, they're extremely dangerous. And they were really big. These types were really big in Orange County, and they probably still are out there. And it's so funny that would be the area that they choose over by Disneyland with all the kids. And that was an area I moved to in the early 90s. And oh my God. Oh my God, it was such a horrible experience. Yeah, so Orange County did. So I moved to this place out there, and one of my neighbors, she was like 50 maybe at the time, and I was like 19 or something. And she's like, yeah, come with me to this church, it's over at the Marriott. And I'm like, all right, I guess. So she was just going on and on how great it was and this and that. And I go in there, and it's totally Benny Hinn style, where, they do the touching you and everybody falls down and they're talking in tongues and they're doing all sorts of weird shit. And I'm just like, okay, this is not for me. And I get up and they come up to me to do the touching thing. And so they come up to me and they put their hand on me, and then like I was supposed to fall or something, but I didn't feel like it. I was just like, oh, okay. And then the guy pushes me and he's like, go with it. And I'm like, what the hell? So they like pushed me. I mean, they literally pushed me down. So, that stuff is so fake. Just, letting everybody know if you didn't think it before. And so I told her, I was like, I don't really have a good feeling about this. Oh no, it's really great. Keep coming back. And I kept coming back with her, and the pastor there was a total creep. I mean, he was just creepy. There was something about him that was really creepy to me. And then they did this baptism thing in the Marriott, like in their spa, in like the spa there. I think it was that everybody went and got baptized in the spa, And I was just like, okay. Like, anyway. And then he was big on going door to door all over that city and preaching. So they dragged me out in my city to go door to door to go try to preach to people, and I just followed along. I didn't talk to anybody. And there were somebody in the church was telling me that this guy tried to bust in this lady's house. Like he came to the door, she opened the door up in a towel, and he tried to like push himself in. And I think she called the police or something, but I don't think they did anything. And so, and this is before anything really bad happened to me. And then all this stuff is going on with them, and I'm just like, my neighbor kept, dragging me there. She's like, yeah, that's great, it's all this. And then I became friends with one of the girls in there, in the church. And so, I just kind of stayed in there for a little bit. Not really like, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. And then one day I hear this knock on my door, and I'm like, okay, who's here? And I'm in my night clothes, and I go to open the door, and like half the church comes in there. Like all these people come into my house. They just busted into my house. I opened the door and they just busted in. And then they started like praying and speaking in tongues and doing all this shit in the middle of my front room. While I'm in my night clothes, I couldn't even get them out. They just were talking over me and doing all this shit, and then they leave. And I'm like, okay, I can't have this happen again. That was scary. And I don't know. um, so that happened, and then I think one of the last things that I did, the pastor guy was just, I don't know what his deal was, but he's like, yeah, I want you to do this radio show with me, about your experience talking with, because I used to have conversations with this Satanist guy, and then some stuff with these people in the covens and stuff like that, and just studying and stuff. And so they wanted me to do this radio show talking about that stuff. And so the guy takes me to this stupid little office that was like in the middle of like Garden Grove or something. It was just a regular office and nobody was there. And everybody's like, "Oh, you're lucky he didn't do anything." Yeah, I am lucky he didn't do anything to me. But he did. He taped the thing, and he's just going on and on. And I have it. I did have it somewhere. I have it on cassette somewhere, unless it got destroyed or lost somehow. But if I ever find it, I will put it up. But it was just really bizarre, and so I don't even know if it ever went on this radio thing. And then I believe that was towards the end because I didn't deal with them after that because the girl that I was friends with was getting abused by his right hand man, dude. And so I had to actually, I got a call from her, and they needed me to come and get her because she was getting abused by the guy from the church, and he was beating on her, whatever. And so I go down there, not even thinking like, oh, I can get killed or something because this guy's crazy. I just go in there doing what I need to do, and I go and drag her out. And in the meantime, while I'm dragging her out, he's following me everywhere, you know, saying, I have the spirit of witchcraft and all this stuff. And I think I said this on my other video. And so I got her out of there, and she went into like, some battered woman's thing. And I think, like I said, I think she went back. And so I was going to a different church at that time. I started going to Calvary Chapel, and then there was like a whole thing about that. Nothing personally with me, but I guess there's some stuff that happened at that place that, you know, I mean, I think at pretty much all of them, I think at pretty much all of the places that I went to, there was something wrong, like just something. And when I was gonna go, he looked at me And he's like, oh, he was coming to my neighbor's house, the neighbor that got me to go to the church, and he was going into her house, and they were talking all the time, and so I had to go over to her house before I was going to leave to this event for the Calvary Chapel. And he looked at me and he's like, oh, the way you're dressed is inappropriate. You should wear my ex-wife's clothes and I can go to the house right now and go get them and dress you in them. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. Fuck no. And then he tried to break into my house too because of I think because of the girl thing when I had her dragged out and then she went to get help. And he was trying to bust in my house because he was saying, I have the spirit of witchcraft and I'm evil, and he was just getting livid. And I was trying to get people to get out of his church because um, it was basically like a cult. And I was like, this guy's bad, and this guy's bad. He's not good, and I think that he's just taking everybody's money and whatever he was doing. And they were not having it. So that's a thing. It's really hard to get people out of stuff like that because they love the guy. They love the people that they're following. And so you become sort of like the evil person. And it's like, what is evil about me trying to get you to leave? I mean, rationally, it's like I'm trying to get you away from something that's going to be harmful, which at the end of the day, it was harmful. He ended up taking some old lady in there, all her money, and took off with some young girl and took off to Hawaii. And, I tried to get people to get away from that because I felt like the guy was really bad. I mean, he was bad. And I was really young. I mean, I was 19 or 20 or something trying to deal with this weird old man. He was like probably in his 50s too. So, I'm dealing with this perverted, crazy 50 some odd year old dude with, older people that are like desperate for, you know, something. And so that was a really hard thing for me to go through. And then seeing that the church was abusing another, that girl, and she was a good person, and I really don't know what happened to this day, and God forbid that those guys ever got stayed together or had kids or anything like that. That's just horrible. That was some bad abuse, and that I walked in on, and that stays with you. But yeah, I'm a firm believer that these religions, these churches, these Christian places are grooming your kids, grooming them, mostly girls, to be victims of sexual crimes, basically. Um, just the way that they raise their sons over the girls, and the sons are heads of households, and the girls are meant to submit. So they're less likely to put up a fight, because they're supposed to respect the man in the household. But these guys at the end of the day are total terrorists. They're just terrorists. They're terrorists on women. They're terrorists on gays. They're terrorists on anybody that's not in their cult thinking ways. And like I said, it's really hard to get people out of that. It's really hard. You just always hope that you can get them when they're getting into their kind of doubt phase, and I'm just trying to think of how it happened for me, and it was really just about educating myself, of reading things outside that, and studying about different other religions and stuff. That actually was kind of the path out of it. because it started to make me think, like, well, wait a minute, you know what? This might be why. I think I might be wrong. And a lot of the stuff in it, what makes it really hard to leave that stuff is that it's based so much with fear. Because if that wasn't there in it, it would be so much easier because nobody would have that feeling like I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to go to hell. Something bad's going to happen to me if I think some other way. And so because of that little fear factor right there, it makes it really hard for some people to get themselves to be able to step away from it. So if you can get inside their mind, no, if you can get in, if they can get to the point where they know that nothing bad's going to happen. It's like, I'm still here, right? Nothing bad happened to me from not thinking that way anymore. I mean, life's shitty anyway, so it's not like I'm punished because I don't believe that way or anything like that. If anything, when I was believing that way, some really bad shit happened. So it's not anything where you can go, oh, my life is fully being punished because I don't believe something exists.